What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Colton Posey Fishing. So today we're going to be talking about what's going on right now, the summertime to fall transition. I'm actually pulling up right now to a local lake of mine that I grew up fishing, Bear Creek. It is probably one of my favorite lakes to fish. It and Smith Lake's definitely my top two, but I grew up fishing here. This lake has got spotted bass and it's got largemouth bass. It's got plenty of points, narrow bends. I mean, it's a lake, but it's kind of like a river. And I mean, there's just so much you can do on this lake, and it kind of expands all across the country. So either way, I just kind of wanted to talk to you and try to help you out a little bit. So stay tuned. This is something you don't want to miss. All right, everybody, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about the summer to fall transition. So this is a very, very important time to be on the water because you learn a lot. You learn a lot about the bass's habits and so on and so forth. So one of the biggest questions I get is, where does these fish go? So it really depends on what type of fishery you're fishing, whether you're talking about a river or a lake or whatever you may be fishing at the time. So one of the biggest things is understanding pinch points. And what I mean by pinch points is we're not necessarily talking about a point on the lake, but areas leading back into the coves where these fish spawn, where shad travel, basically the highways that these fish may be set up on, or well, that the bait will be set up on, and the bass will just move and migrate to wherever the bait are. So sorry, you may get a little bit of background noise. I'm at the boat ramp. But either case, we're looking for those active fish. And when it comes to spotted bass, you're going to notice that you'll get in pockets of spotted bass, pockets of largemouth bass, and then you're going to have spotted bass that's just kind of roaming wherever, chasing the bait. Now, the ones that's roaming and chasing the bait, this is kind of the setups that I use to target those fish. So, y'all have heard me talk about these several times, but a drop shot is a huge one for these nomadic fish that are coming up, eating, and then going back down. And typically they'll get under your boat and you'll see them on your live scope or your 2D sonar or whatever you may be using, but you can drop this thing right down on top of them, move it around a little bit, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to bite it. So this right here is actually made by RoboWorm. This is Aaron's Magic. It's one of my favorite ones. Another one that I like to use to target the shad bite is the Smoky Shad. This is by Z-Man. So these things right here, you can put one on, they'll last you pretty much all day, which is the cool thing. But those are the fish that you'll see come up schooling on shad, and then they'll move back down. And those are the ones that typically get under your boat that you'll see on your graph that's typically hard to catch. Now, let's go over another one. And y'all have heard me talk about this one several times too. A little swim bait head. So I'm running this on a finesse setup. I've got 6-pound Seaguar fluorocarbon, and then I've got it to a braided line leader. Now this is a 3/8 ounce 4x4 little jig head with a 2.75 inch rage swimmer. Now this thing right here, you can cast it as far as you want to, burn it close to the top of the water, and you're going to catch those fish that are schooling up on like threadfin shad or anything like that. So now that is about all that I use as far as targeting those nomadic fish that are schooling up from daylight till dark, except for one exception: the walking bait. All right, so I'm sure y'all are familiar with the walking bait. You've probably been using it since early summer and it's still in play. But there's a couple things that I do to change that up, because these fish will get accustomed to seeing that walking bait and they'll start short striking. I'm sure some of y'all notice how the fish will come up, they'll blow up right behind it, miss it, or they'll come up, bump it, knock it up in the air. They're just not getting it, you know, and you're just like, wow, why will they not eat it? Well, it's because they're pressured. They're used to being attacked by, or not necessarily attacked, but they're used to being caught by this specific bait. So the way that I get around that is I use one that is clear. So this is the sexy shad. This is the junior in the nude color. So this is just a clear jerk bait. You can see my, or walking bait. You can see my finger right behind it. One of the things that I do is I will take a feather hook and make sure I put that on the back of my bait. What this does is it gives them something to separate the target from. So they see this moving, they understand, but they see this behind it, and this is what they're going to target. So 9 times out of 10 you're going to catch them off of this. I usually use the Gamakatsu. The VMC is another good one. Berkeley Fusion is another good one. Anything you can get your hands on, really, but make sure you've got that feather hook on there with that clear color. Use it like you normally would, fast, extremely fast. You see them come up schooling, you got to hit them fast. Now let's talk about what I use to catch these fish on the pinch points. So the pinch points are areas that are like bridges leading back up into coves and stuff, not far from the main lake, maybe the entrance of the creek mouths and stuff on points, little grassy areas, something like that. And you'll typically know, because you'll make 10 or 12 casts. If you're not getting bit or you didn't see anything schooling up, then you know that pretty much there's probably no fish activity in that area, or at least at that time there's no fish activity. So what do I use to target these fish? So first off, if I come up on an area and I'm checking it out, this is what most people call a wintertime bait, but it's really a year-round bait. And I love that people think it's just a wintertime bait, because I catch more fish on it during the warmer months than I do in the winter months. So a jerk bait. Okay, this is a hard jerk bait. This is the Ottentotten. I can't remember who it's made by. I can't remember. There'll be a link in the description. Either way, this is but this is the 110 junior version. It's a 3 8 ounce. Yes. So you have a lot of cast ability with it. Like today, it's super windy. I'm sure you can hear the wind in the background. It's probably 8 or 9 mile an hour winds. So we're going to be getting blowed around a lot. Being able to use this bait super fast and efficiently is going to help you catch those fish. A lot more on days like today. As you can see, it's bluebird skies, a little bit of clouds here and there, a lot of wind. So these fish are going to be positioned in those point areas, those pinch point areas. I'm sorry. So either way, take this bait, throw it out there, and you're working it fast. You're not doing it the 1 2 3 stop, 1 2 3 stop, 1 2 stop. You're not doing that. You're doing just a constant, as fast as you can. Try to get in a little bit of a rhythm, make it act a little different, and they're usually going to hit it right when it stops for just 1 second. So this will help you figure out if the fish that are in that area are active, especially if they're feeding on shad. Now, another thing that I use to cover water in those areas that I believe that there's bass at is a square bill crankbait. So 90% of the people use a square bill throughout the spring. Throughout the fall is a wonderful time also. This is a shad color made by Lucky Craft. The links to the baits will be in the description. I forget the names. I've got so many baits in here, it's ridiculous. But either way, I'm burning this. I'm casting it out there. As soon as it hits the water, I'm burning it. I'm burning it right back to the boat as fast as I can. I may make 30 casts in the matter of 5 minutes, maybe more than that. But either way, I'm just giving you an idea of what I'm doing. I've got this bait rolling. It's not stopping. I'm trying to bang it off of any limbs or rocks or anything that I can to trigger a reaction bite. Okay, so moving on to the last one, and one of my favorites. I say one of my favorites. This is the way that I grew up fishing, so sometimes I get bored with it, but either way, it catches fish. It don't matter who you are, it catches fish. A standard Texas rig. All right, so this is a red bug color. This is going to basically entice those fish that are maybe in a crawfish pattern. So around the bridges and stuff, you're going to have tons of riprap, which equals crawfish. So the red bug is going to help target those fish that are eating crawfish. So you've kind of got everything covered. You've got everything covered from shad to craws. The reason that I use this specific setup for Texas rigging is just because it's efficient going through rocks. Okay, so I've got a 1/4 ounce tungsten weight, right? And then I've also got it pegged. So that way the weight can't slide up and down my line, which typically leads to, line shredding and breaks and stuff like that. So this is going to stay tight. If I get hung up, I can cruise over there, drop my tip down, boom, got my bait back, check my line, if it's all good, reel it up, make another cast. But I can maneuver this through grass, I can maneuver it through rocks, I can maneuver it through wood. This is going to catch fish more efficiently in heavy cover areas, but it's also going to target those fish that are feeding on crawfish. So now that does not mean the fish that are feeding on shad will not eat it either. I'm sure they will, and I'm sure I've caught plenty that have, but I'm just saying specifically those are the fish that I'm targeting. What eats it? Who knows? But either way, a red bug color, zoom U-tail, and then this is another one that's just, I don't really think, I've never really heard anybody talk about it, but I found out about it when I was a kid. I actually got a pack of these, and I went to a pond and just wore them out. I mean, I may have been like 10 years old, but either way, it was like I couldn't get them to not quit hitting it. And it was during the fall, and this bait just does really good. I don't know, like I said, if it's because they just don't see it much or what, but it's made by Culprit. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Culprit, but it's called Fire and Ice. It's just like a blue and red. It's real glittery and shiny. I don't know. For some reason they like it this time of year, but either way, that all the baits will be down in the description, but those are typically the baits that I use this time of year to target those fall fish. This way I can cover more water. I'm hitting high percentage areas, and either they're going to bite or they're not going to bite, and I can move on to the next area and just eliminate a lot of water fast and get more fish in the boat. I'm sure a lot of you guys are tournament fishermen, so you're not necessarily worried about numbers. You're more worried about size, but that's the good thing. Most of the time, these fish that you'll see that's nomadic and schooling, the bigger fish is going to be around too because they're smart. They're not necessarily lazy like everybody thinks they are. They're just smart. So they're going to let these smaller fish school up and beat up these shad and stuff, and the bigger fish are going to pick off the ones that, the smaller fish may have stunned or killed but didn't eat, or so on and so forth. So if you're in the areas of the small ones, don't necessarily weed out that there's not big fish there. Make sure you fish those areas efficiently, especially if you're catching multiple fish at a time, because typically there's going to be a big female hanging around in there. So either way, those are the baits that I use during the summer to fall transition. It's a lot of fun. Have a wonderful time doing it. Make sure, if you haven't already, to like and subscribe. It helps me out a whole lot. I'm going to get these videos out as much as I can. But like I've explained in the past, we have a lot going on with our family right now, and I just don't feel comfortable putting out videos unless I'm on the water consistently. So when I am on the water, I can give you feedback, but when I'm not, I don't want to just be putting up something to put up something, if that makes sense. I want to make sure that the information that I'm giving you is accurate, and I hope you appreciate that, and I hope you know that I appreciate every one of y'all that watch my videos and stuff. So make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said, it helps me out a whole lot. I'll see you next time.